It's a joy to be with you on this Friday, and we're so thankful in all of these days how God has been sustaining us through a present trial here. We're certainly all in the same boat. If you're listening from another location, we're all with all the different issues of the day. We're having a lot to navigate, but we of course have had the crisis of a very horrific situation where one of our people were killed there as we were gathered together. And God has been so good to us, and I want to mention this again because tonight at 6 o'clock is the funeral, and I very much would ask you to pray that God will work. We believe He's going to work. We have unsaved folks here, community will be here, and we're asking that God will work in all of our hearts as believers. Whatever He wants to do, would you pray with us that He will accomplish that? God has definitely encouraged us. I tell you, it's just been a miraculous lift through the many tears and having to process the things that our people saw. God really did intervene and will be intervening, and we know it's going to be a trial that will go on. And keeping that in mind, I would like to go to the story about David when he was inquiring of the Lord about, shall I go and smite the Philistines, in 1 Samuel chapter 23. And the Lord said, go, smite the Philistines. And then in verse 3, and David's men said unto him, behold, we be afraid here in Judah. How much more then if we come to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines? Then David inquired of the Lord yet again, making sure he was right. And the Lord answered him and said, arise, go down to Keilah, for I will deliver the Philistines into thine hand. Now there was no comparison of the size of the two armies. He just had hundreds of men versus, I'm sure, a very large army with the Philistines. And yet, when God is with you, the battle is won. And so David, even though his men had understandable trepidation, when God said go, and then gave the great promise, I will be with you, and I will deliver the Philistines into thine hand, he went against major odds. And so they went down there and they smote them with a great slaughter. That's what God will do. Friends, we size up things humanly way too much. We look at our circumstances and we react to them about how much strength do we have and how can we handle that, and this is impossible. But I'm telling you, when God says to do it, and it's very clearly God's will, and you have freedom, and you know that you're in line with proper authority, counsel, and it is God's will, you don't have a thing to be afraid of. God is going to work. And even if it's a struggle, and even though it may seem like there are defeats along the way, God will work. And so, folks, we have great promises in the New Testament that directly affect the church, that God will do exceeding abundantly above what we ask or think. And so we need to believe God in these days and do anything that God tells us to do and not be afraid of the enemy. Don't size things up humanly. Let's size them up biblically and from a divine perspective. And that's when we see God do a great work.